Tonight, a nation on edge. The streets of the capital city witness to rumors, points and counterpoints, witness to demonstrations, witness to tear gas and mayhem. Tonight, a number of people are cooling their heels in some police stations across the capital. Tonight as well, a number of people are nursing injuries, including some officers, nursing serious injuries from the protests that happened, all about the Finance Bill 2024. Are we listening to each other? Are we asking the right questions? Are we entertaining the right perspectives? Is the state listening to its people? And are the people listening to the state? All of those questions and so much more we shall be discussing tonight on the People's Court with George Maringa.
Absolutely. And tonight, as is the norm on the People's Court, we tell you and we bring you details of exactly what happened today. A country in demonstrations that have never been seen before in such a manner. And as most have said, Gen Zs are to be watched out for, and especially in the mode of demonstrations that happen. Not even journalists were spared in these. Our very own crew members were also caught in the furore of the protest. And tonight we ask, what is the state of the nation? We've seen what the government has had to say. Tonight we involve a representative from the Border Association, as well as SME expert, a person who owns an enterprise, as well as a CPA fellow, including the CEO of the Public Service Governance, Victor, just to be able to analyze and see where exactly we lie in all this tonight on State of the Nation.
State of the Nation, Finance Bill 2024. It will be the moment. This is a defining moment in our history. And we are here, as always, the home of untold stories, to give you the opportunity to participate in this conversation vigorously, truthfully.
And before that, let's give them a glimpse of what we shall be informing them on the broadcast.
Absolutely.
Tonight. Tonight, police clash with protesters in anti-finance bill demonstrations as several protesters were arrested for participating in the protest. Kenyans stand out in large numbers for a demonstration that seemingly had no central command structure or affiliation with politicians. Just what broke the camel's back?
Honorable Kibuti, as we have been told, was an dedicated judicial officer who served the bench with boundless dedication.
Chief Justice Martha Koome says that the judiciary will not be intimidated by the killing of Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti and will continue administering justice without fear, favor, or prejudice. We invite your feedback at TV47 News is our X handle, at Muyakane, at George Maringa _ across the social media platforms. Use the hashtag Daily Report, hashtag People's Court. Our SMS line 22047 is open. Send in your questions, as well as our WhatsApp number, which will be displayed on the screen shortly. We look forward to hearing from you. Now let's begin where normal operations came to a near standstill within Nairobi Central Business District, CBD, on Tuesday afternoon after droves of Kenyans stand up for, quote, Occupy Parliament demos against the passing of the Finance Bill 2024. The protesters settled on the peaceful demos to push a petition on members of parliament, that is MPs, against passing the controversial bill, which has been termed as punitive by various stakeholders. And as Mike Kagwongo now reports, several protesters and journalists were clobbered by police officers who used brutal force to scuttle the demos with a vehicle belonging to Cape Media, a company that owns TV47, having its windscreens smashed by the officers. Take a look.
Kenyans came out in large numbers to join the Occupy Parliament demos, despite the Finance and National Planning Committee in the National Assembly striking out some of the contentious provisions in the bill. Earlier Tuesday, Security was tightened in front of the National Assembly to prevent demonstrators from accessing parliamentary corridors. However, in the CBD, the protesters organized themselves against police officers along Kenyatta Avenue and Kimathi Street. Their main agenda.
Sisi kama wanabunge tunasema hii finance bill haijaangazia malilio ya Wakenya, na ndio maana tunasema tuliorganize demonstration, tuliorganize ya kwanza tukaenda parliament kuwaonyesha hiyo bill sio sawa. Tumeorganize demonstration nyingine kama watu wanabunge, na tunasema tutanyang'ana nao hadi Wakenya wapate malilio yao.
We reject the finance bill in totality. Finance bill 2024 must be amended so that those draconian provisions that are aimed at oppressing the people of Kenya are removed from that piece of legislation.
And when they approached the National Assembly, police officers under strict instructions from Nairobi County Police Commander Adamson Bungei tackled them with water cannons and hide-and-seek games started. Some were arrested, among them journalists attached to AFP, Nation Media Group and Standard Media Group.
I'm going home. I have documents from Kencom KCB. I just went for meeting.
Standard Media Group camera person Justus Mwangi was arrested and placed in a police Land Cruiser before being thrown out of the speeding vehicle. A TV-47 vehicle was hit by a tear gas canister while journalists were inside. The vehicle was parked along Kimathi Street. Kenyans have vowed to carry on with the demos until the bill is completely withdrawn.
We are telling our MPs, can you make sure that you are serving what you are elected to do? We have analyzed and we have seen that majority of you have become presidential puppets. We are not going to address the issues that the ordinary Mwananchi elected you to go and do. You are going to serve the interest of the president and the administration.
We are going to do this for as long as we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves as citizens and not wait for the government to decide wrong things for us. We'll be here day in, day out.
And as you vote no or yes. Don't miss the voting. If you miss, you're also the enemy. And if you vote yes, you're also the enemy. And we will come to ground and we will meet you 2027 and we will see who will go home and who will be elected. Thank you.
Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
What a day, and that will be forming part of the conversation on the People's Court tonight. You want to stand by for that and much more. Still on that, the protests witnessed today in Nairobi's Central Business District was a momentous occasion. Although similar to many protests witnessed in the country, the makeup was slightly different. This was one of very few mass protests that was organized without a central command structure. Just what broke the camel's back? Our reporter Kisawa Emery explores.
Thousands of Kenyans descended on Nairobi Tuesday. The reason? To oppose the passing of the contentious finance bill. The difference this time, however, was that the protest was entirely organized and called for by Kenyans with little to no involvement by politicians. So, what might have finally broken the camel's back?
People are very frustrated. People are very angry.
Youth between the ages of 18 and 35 formed the main demographic that turned out, regardless of tribe or creed, united purely to protest against the finance bill. Feeling the pressure, the Finance and National Planning Committee backtracked on various tax proposals, sentiments echoed by Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire, who informed leaders on the importance of serving the people.
I really want to beg of us today, as the chair of UDA, let's stay focused to what it is we promise those hustlers. Because if we don't deliver, those hustlers will send us out of power and they'll send us with vengeance.
With Kenyans actively contacting their MPs and taking to the streets to exercise their constitutional rights, especially the youth, who are becoming more informed about national affairs.
Many Kenyans are now being informed People are really reading. They are reading much more better than their members of parliament, especially National Assembly.
However, according to Osido, an uprising as discussed in online platforms remains distant because of the significant number of Kenyans who opt not to participate in elections. Could this mark a positive trend for the future? One where Kenyans are less susceptible to political influence? Kisewa Emory, TV47.
Thank you, Kisawa Emery, for that. With the number of clauses supposedly scrapped off by the Finance and National Planning Committee, one must wonder what has been left in the contentious Finance Bill 2024-2025 that has had Kenyans picketing and protesting in the CBD. And more importantly, what next? Our reporter Hibak Said with the details on the fate of the Finance Bill.
A public document of about 136 pages dented a rift so big between Kenyans and their leaders, setting social media ablaze with promises of peaceful protesting and, in some cases, total insurgence.
I just want to hug you because...
A backtrack by the Finance and National Planning Committee, seemingly scraping off every offending clause touching on the precious bread, edible oil, and most dramatically the proposed motor vehicle tax, but Kenyans would hear none of it. Kenyans have seemingly had enough. Is it a case of too little, too late?
We have listened to the view of Kenyans, and we are all in agreement that there are two things that we must do. One of them is that we need to protect Kenyans from increased cost of living.
But then what clauses remain untouched? On income tax, the imposed changes on the digital marketplace tax, which essentially covers any who provide goods or services in the electronic platform, which remains. This includes but is not limited to ride-hailing services, food delivery services, freelance services, professional services, and to some degree, even rental services will have to incur a digital tax of 1.5%, with foreign digital firms without a permanent residence expected to pay the ultimate price. Importation of finished products will also bear the brunt of pushing up revenues. As the Finance Committee pushes upon additional levies, not on raw materials, but on finished products. Goods subject to investment and promotion levy still remains at 3%, hiked from 2.5% of the custom value, while cement clinker import remains at 10% of the custom import value. While the document remains open for tweaking, the adjusted finance bill will be presented in Parliament, and more clause changes will come to the fore. What possible repercussions would it have on the country? Only time will tell. Hibak Said for TV47.
Thank you, Hibak, for that story, and we shall also be conversing that and much more in the upcoming show in just a short while. The People's Court, keep your feedback coming. The Azimio Coalition has this evening issued a statement to show their dissatisfaction with the finance bill, even despite the government making some changes that they termed relieving to Kenyans. Speaking during a press briefing at City Hall, Azimio MPs through Ugunja's lawmaker Opiyo Wandayi vowed to oppose the bill, claiming that the amendments that the government has made on the bill is a drop in the ocean and that it is still too heavy for Kenyans to bear. The bill is expected to be tabled in Parliament tomorrow and Thursday, where the MPs are expected to make decisions for Kenyans.
Motor vehicle tax was silly and outrageous from the start. The evil mind that conceived it was simply testing the resolve and the emotions of Kenyans. It takes a bad government to govern through mind games and Kenya Kwanza is one such government. We demand that the export promotion levy of 10% on clinkers for manufacture of cement is a tool for stagnation. It is meant to stifle competition in a particular sector with a view to protecting a particular investor in a specific sector. As a country, we will be shooting ourselves in the foot if we were to make laws just to protect one business person.
Namaanisha wameweka wananchi wa Kenya kama watoto na watu wajinga ambao hawana mwelekeo.
But you are working for one person with his friends, because 10% of Kenyan population is the only one enjoying. And that is why if they increase anything, they don't feel it. It is the real mwananchi, Wanjiku, is the one who understands what they are going through.
Now, while the National Assembly awaits the debate on the Finance Bill 2024, several issues have not been amended, including the 16% digital tax and the VAT for betting, gaming and lottery services. And as Paul Kirobi now reports, the government will seek to address pressing issues on the table. Here are the details.
President William Ruto's goal of generating an additional 302 billion shillings in revenue, aimed at boosting the projected total revenue for the year to 3.3 trillion shillings, remains to be seen. Despite numerous changes made in response to public outcry, Kenyans will still have to finance the 2024-2025 budget through the new finance bill of 2024. Additionally, the president has avoided addressing some pressing issues in the contentious finance bill, which many, particularly content creators, hoped will be resolved. Some of the issues that were not touched on include services offered through digital platforms that currently stands at 16%. The bill had also proposed to delete the VAT exemption for betting, gaming and lottery services. The bill expands the scope of accessible services to include services offered in Kenya by non-resident person through a digital platform. Excise duty on alcoholic beverages will be taxed based on alcoholic content and not volume. Another key proposal is the increase in pension contributions, which has risen from 20,000 shillings per month to 30,000 shillings per month for athletes. Excise duty will be imposed on imported table eggs, onions and potatoes. This is aimed at protecting local farmers. Additionally, the threshold for value-added tax will be increased from the current 5 million shillings to 8 million shillings. The bill proposes to introduce withholding tax on goods supplied to public entities by both resident and non-resident persons without a permanent establishment. The withholding tax rate shall be 3% of the amount paid if the payment is to a resident person and 5% if the payment is to a non-resident person.
The concern about foreign exchange transactions, the concern about transfer in banks, that the status quo remain, no additional taxes have been increased on that particular sector.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Chief Justice Martha Koome, her Deputy Philomena Mwilu, and Attorney General Justin Muturi led the judiciary in mourning the late Magistrate Monica Kivuti, who was shot while on duty at Makadara Law Courts, Nairobi County. Speaking at the scene of the crime, they described Monica as someone who had good relations with people, as Ruga Eval now reports.
Stop killing us. And follow the rule of law to deal with us when you think we are wrong.
It was a somber and sorrowful event as people remembered Magistrate Monica Kivuti, who lost her life in the line of duty. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu recounting how she narrowly escaped death by a whisker in what could be described as a similar incident to Kivuti's.
That on the 24th of October 2017, soon after the nullification of the 2017 election petition, if I was in my car, I would be dead.
With a message from Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu resonating with many who came to pass their condolences.
If you are not satisfied with our decisions, there is room either to file for a revision, review, or appeal. Please don't kill us.
One speaker after another, including Attorney General Justin Muturi, LSK President Faith Odhiambo, and Vice President of the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Evelyn Olwande, expressing their concerns and emphasizing the need for increased allocation to refurbish courtrooms.
The tragic death of Hon Kivuti will be in vain if the organs with the obligation to facilitate and resource the judiciary continue to turn a deaf ear to the pleas of the judiciary.
We will continue to review security protocols regarding the handling of accused persons in the courtroom. I have also directed that going forward, no one will be around to access court premises well armed.
Judiciary's Chief Registrar Wilfrida Mokaya on the other end, mentioning upcoming changes aimed at enhancing security in courtrooms.
To convert the room at the building at the gate into an armory, to provide space for relocation of guards, to create a new pedestrian entrance with body scanning area, to define a new exit.
This is where the magistrate was attacked and later succumbed from her injuries. Her funeral will be held on Saturday, the 22nd in Kithimani, Yatta Sub-County, Machakos County. Ruga Evil, TV47.
May the soul of Monica rest in eternal peace.
Indeed, may her soul rest in peace. Judicial workers from different law courts as well as advocates held peaceful protests on Tuesday to mourn the tragic death of Makadara Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti, who was shot on Thursday last week. In solidarity, all courts and tribunals remained closed as staff and officers paid their tribute, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
Judiciary's Chief Registrar Wilfrida Mokaya has explained that due to the killing of their colleague, no judicial services shall be offered from makeshift structures, as they will be ascertaining the nature and number of makeshift structures within the court stations, as well as the number of officers before using the structures.
We have instructed courts to implement certain immediate security realignments within their current means. In light of your ladyship's directive that no judicial services should be offered from makeshift structures, we are currently ascertaining the nature and the number of makeshift structures in our court stations.
Carrying placards with the inscription "Stop the Killings, Judicial Lives Matter," judicial workers from Embu law courts and advocates held a peaceful walk on Tuesday to mourn the tragic death of Makadara Principal Magistrate Monica Kivuti, who was shot on Thursday last week. Activities in the Limuru Court were marked by the mourning of the Principal Magistrate, where Limuru Senior Principal Magistrate Jared Magore led residents in an intercession ceremony at the Limuru Court.
Na tumeshikana mikono manaibu wahusika wote wa koti zote katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, hasa koti yetu ya Limuru, kuomba, kuomboleza na kuhusunika pamoja na familia.
At Kiambu Law Court, judicial officers assembled at the High Court to mourn one of their own in an assembly that was led by High Court judges Lady Justice Abigail Mshila and her counterpart Lady Justice Dora Chepkwone. Judges and staffs of the Mombasa High Court, led by Justice Olga Sewe, also joined their colleagues in the country to remember Makadara Magistrate Monica Kivuti. All court employees there have been assured that the issue of their security has been considered.
The Chief Justice, the Judiciary leadership team, and the entire leadership of all the courts in the country have taken this issue very seriously, and going forward, matters security will be taken into account and looked at with the necessary concern and determination.
In a solemn gathering at the Homa Bay Law Courts, judicial staff and advocates affiliated with the Law Society of Kenya held a memorial service to mourn the loss of the magistrate. They condemned the act of violence, emphasizing the need to address mental health problems and security within the judicial system.
For those who have attended my court will know that I've only said all of us are candidates.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. And the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association issued an update on the resolutions by the National Council, which includes complete work stoppage from tomorrow, 19th June 2024, to Friday, 21st June 2024. Away from that, with just 2 weeks left before Kenya embarks on a big transition from the National Health Insurance Fund to the Social Health Authority, unemployed Kenyans aged 25 and above have been dealt a blow after the Social Health Authority revealed that they will need to make their contributions whether they have a source of income or not. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
Every Kenyan aged 25 and above will not be allowed to be dependent on their parents or guardians by virtue of age with regards to the monthly contributions channeled to the Social Health Authority.
The difference is, if they cannot pay on their own, somebody else will pay for them. If, for example, they're living with the parents and the parents choose to pay for them, they'll be paid for, but now they're regarded as a separate household by virtue of age. If for whatever reason they are not able to pay, then they are indigent and therefore they'll be paid for by the government like everybody else.
According to Health CS Susan Nakumicha, the ministry is currently on the final phase of rolling out Social Health Authority, which unlike NHIF will not entail the use of cards but only numbers, the most important being the identity card number.
That from Friday, we were in Marsabit doing testing. There was a small challenge, and so they are now working on it. But immediately they finish, it will be up and available, but it is *147#.
Social Health Authority Chair Timothy Olweny says there will not be a point where one's card is depleted. If one exhausts their card, they will be moved to the next level, which is government funded. In a case of emergency, chronic and critical illness, additional funds will be added to one's card.
Enhanced schemes, by operation of the Act, the Social Health Authority is not allowed to administer any enhanced schemes.
Social Health Authority funds raised within health facilities shall be used in the same facilities as per the Facility Improvement Financing Act of 2023. Health workers, commodities, service providers and patients will be linked digitally, hence the Digital Health Act.
A facility money, so long as it is verified, it is reconciled, it will be transitioned for payment.
8 billion Kenya shillings will cater for the stipend and kit given to community health promoters or CHPs, who will also use the money to purchase drugs and medication for their target patients.
But we are also training our community health promoters because we have given them gadgets that they should be able to also take biometrics at household level.
20 billion Kenya shillings has been set aside for emergency services in case one gets into an accident. 53 billion Kenya shillings will be disbursed in public health facilities, whereby when Kenyans visit dispensaries or level 3 facilities, they will not pay for any services. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. Now, Daniel Koikai, the father of the late Njambi Koikai, died due to excessive bleeding as a result of a self-inflicted deep stab wound on the neck, an autopsy exercise has revealed. The autopsy exercise was conducted at the Montezuma Mona Lisa Funeral Home in Nairobi on Tuesday, confirming reports that the deceased died by suicide. And as our crimes reporter Franklin Waller reports, investigators have exclusively revealed the details of a text message sent by the deceased to his daughter moments before he died by suicide.
At the Montezuma Mona Lisa Funeral Home in Nairobi, family and friends of Daniel Koikai, father to the late media personality Mary Njambi Koikai, walked into the facility to witness an autopsy exercise on the body of Daniel Koikai, whose lifeless body was found at his rented apartment within Tatu City in Ruiru on Friday, the 14th of June 2024. After close to 2 hours of anxiety, the family was hit hard by the devastating reality that their father died by suicide. An autopsy exercise conducted on the body of the deceased revealed Daniel Koikai, the father to the late Njambi Koikai, died due to excessive bleeding resulting from 2 self-inflicted stab wounds on the neck. The weapon used was a knife. The traumatizing report was shared to Koikai's family by government pathologist Grace Midigo, who conducted the autopsy exercise. Police finding it hard to unravel such tragic circumstances that the former ambassador decided to use to end his life. Detectives revealed to us the troubling contents of a text message sent by the deceased to his daughter before making the horrific move. "I'm sorry it had to come to this," the text message read. When the lifeless body was discovered, police found the deceased holding a kitchen knife in his right hand. Investigators believe this was the weapon Daniel Koikai used to slit his neck. Investigators say Daniel Koikai was disturbed when her daughter Mary Njambi passed on earlier in the month. It is said the parent could have been troubled for being absent when ailing Njambi needed him most. During Njambi's requiem, the father was present, and as part of his speech, he sent a heart-wrenching apology to the late Njambi and apologized for failing in his duty as her parent. 12 hours later, Daniel Koikai decided to end his life in the most unfortunate and tragic way that would shock his family. He committed suicide inside his bedroom when Njambi's burial ceremony was underway at the Langata Cemetery. Franklin Wala, TV 47.
Thank you, Wala, for that. Residents of Mai Mahiu town are now calling on power generating company Kengen to conduct a feasibility study in the town following earthquakes witnessed in the area today, months after a floods disaster hit the town. And even as our very own Willie Dennis Njiru filed the story of the morning incident, there was yet another quake at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday evening.
This is Mai Mahiu town, a town experiencing some relative calm hours after a series of seismic earth tremors earlier Tuesday morning. Many residents remain uncertain about the future of their residence here.
Tunaishi hapa kwa hofu. Kidhigidhia ilikuja 5. Mara 4. Ya mwisho ilikuja 7. Sasa ndo tunastuka. Tutaenda wapi? Tutaelekea wapi?
Ya tuweze tukaenda mahali. Inabidi tu tukae. Juu hata wenye walibeba na maji walienda. Walirudi mpaka kwao. Sasa inabidi tukae juu hakuna lingine. Hatuwezi enda mahali.
Juu tunashindwa watoto wetu watakaaje safe na sisi tuko safe bado. Sasa hata tulitorokea makanisani. Tukisema Yesu amerudi.
Similar to the catastrophic floods 2 months ago, locals say the earthquake caught many people in their sleep, leaving them unsure of where to run to.
Maneno tumekutana nayo leo usiku. Ni maneno makali sana. Juu kutoka saa 11 na dakika 23 hakuna mtu hii town mzima alikaa kwa nyumba tena. Watu wote walitoka nje. Sisi zote tukakuwa ni kama watoto wale wamekufiwa. Juu sasa tulikuwa tunabebera sana, tunaulizana tutaenda wapi na tunaelekea wapi.
Residents here now pleading with their maker on the town's bare street, seeking mercy from the natural disasters that have afflicted the region.
Mai Mahiu tunataka maombi. Na wale watu hapa wao wanatoa stima hapa chini. Kengen, waangalie tauni ya Mai Mahiu juu wako na machini za kupima kila kitu, wajue ni nini kinakula. Juu ile maji yote ilibeba watu, kuko shimo iliingia, na hakuna mtu hata wa serikali alikuja kufikiria hii maji ilienda wapi. Tumekuwa na janga mingi sana kuhusu hizi earthquake na mashimo chini ya mchanga. So tungeomba hivi tungeomba serikali ituangalilie mostly, sababu najua according to the history, kumbuka tuko Rift Valley, tulisikia hapa ile sink, hatujui kama itasink tukiwa ndani.
They are also calling on Kengen to use its technological equipment to assess the viability and risk zones for habitations in the region, which has endured its fair share of natural calamities.
Inastahili tuangaliwe na hao watu wanaitwa geologist. Cause tuliweza kuripoti kama 2 weeks ago kwa county, bado hakuna hatua alichukua.